Hello, my fellow readers. I Dark Symphony 777 with another fan fiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description. Please like, subscribe, and respect the fact that this is my opinion. If you have your own opinion, please leave it in the comment section. There we go. Now, this story is the newest story of the Enduring the Evil saga by Liberius, Enduring the Evil Code Veronica X. Turning off the TV. And this is very much a tale of two, I guess you can say three stories. Because the story, I guess you can say, is kind of split into three parts. There is the main part, which is, of course, Code Veronica, and that's split into two parts itself, which is the Rockford Island and then the Antarctic facility, and then a new arc featuring a new character named Jason Matlock. I'll talk about him more in the character arc. So, for plot, we have, of course, let's talk about each one individually. Rockford Island is probably the weakest simply because it's Rockford Island. There is nothing new that we get in terms of adding to Rockford Island. There is nothing we don't really add. Sure, the second half of the Jason part, they get to Rockford Island and do that. And then they meet up in the Antarctic facility, but nothing really new. Although it's nice to see Chris being the one to kill off the Gravedigger. I can't remember what that monster is actually called in the game. I know I'm only doing my knowledge based off Dark Side Chronicles, which is sort of an arcadey version of Code Veronica, so I don't know all the details. Um, then there's the other side, which takes place in Britain. I know Rockford, I guess, takes place in Britain too, with Jason Matlock, and I really like that arc. It's part of the specific part of the story. My bad. It's kind of that's why I said it's a tale of two stories. On the one hand, you have the Rockford, which is really really boring, but on the other hand, you have the Jason Matlock side of the story, which is actually pretty engaging, pretty fun to read. And then finally we get to, and for that part of the story, we have they're hunting the members of the triad, the White Tiger Triad, led by a guy named Long. I'll just call him Long because I bring part with his whole name. And they hire a mercenary named Jason Matlock to hunt him, and then they're joined by and they're joined by a guy named Al. Honestly, I pictured him as like Jason Statham for some odd reason. I don't know, it just fit. Um, they're trying to chase him, and then they meet up with like some of Wesker's crew, Nathan and Matt specifically, and I'll talk more Nathan than Matt. Matt just shows up a little bit. Um, and I really like, excuse me. I really liked how he did that side of the story. The Rockford Island is basically just Claire wakes up and like Rockford Island being attacked, and she has to try to escape the island and deal with Alfred Ashford. Now, while Alex, if you remember the end of Enduring the Evil 2, he goes with Claire to find Chris and take down Umbrella. He gets captured. He gets tortured by Alfred, which I guess is the only substantial thing, but it's only there. He only shows up for a couple chapters, and then he joins Claire and the crew. And then finally the Antarctic facility. This is where things kind of take a turn for the weird because after Alfred gets taken out, for some reason Alexia. This is probably the only complaint I have with the story. For no apparent reason whatsoever, Alexia captures Alex. I would be understanding. I'll get more into that when I get into a little later in the video. But for right now, I don't like that specific part. Again, I'll describe it. And then it ends with Alex actually managing to convince Alexia to join them. Alexia does not die in this story. She actually joins the good guys. She's put under protective custody. She actually kind of gets a crush on Alex, which I thought, oh, it's really nice. And he kind of changes the way the story goes. Now, I'm gonna have to call him. I said, this is the first major departure from the story. And didn't Richard Eichen die in the first story? Granted, he's not really a major character because he goes with Rebecca, and Rebecca kind of goes poof until and she doesn't appear ever again in the timeline until Vendetta, which I doubt. I doubt Liberius is gonna do a story based on Vendetta. Mm-hmm. Character development. I like the new characters. Well, sort of. I liked Jason. I really liked Jason. I thought he was a good character. Al, he has the makings of something of a good character, but he wasn't in there enough for me to get sort of a read on him. I love what the next up is Nathan. I love what the author did with Nathan, kind of making him a social Darwinist. I'm surprised that with the build of Nathan being this gigantic, huge guy, the author didn't pull a Metal Gear Revengeance reference and quoted Senator Armstrong somewhere. I would have loved it. That would have been hilarious if, you know, some kind of reference to Senator Armstrong. You don't have to add it if you don't want to, but it would have been hilarious, honestly. But it would have distracted from the story too, so I can understand it. I really loved Nathan only joining Wesker because he feels that the government is corrupt. He feels that there has to be a renewed sense of vision, a new government in place. I thought he does have the makings of something of social Darwinist, and I really like that because at the end, when we're introduced him in 2 and then eventually in 3, he was like this just a really big guy. So it's like it makes me wonder what the author wanted to do with him. And finally, in this story, we finally find out what he's being done with. He's being built up as actually something of a separate villain than Wesker, because Wesker, sooner or later, based on what Wesker does in Resident Evil 5, it's gonna conflict with Nathan in some way, shape, or form. Because in Resident Evil 5, I remember Wesker kind of getting these tyrannical dictatorship sort of vibes and wanting to murder all these people, and just to make himself a god and make everyone else sort of kind of Hitler esque vibes with trying to make humanity the supreme, better than normal, supreme species sort of thing. And I could see Nathan kind of conflicting with that sooner or later. So it looks like he's kind of being built up as a separate villain than Wesker. Like they're gonna deal with Wesker or possibly, but Nathan's gonna splinter off of him and do his own thing. Possibly when he gets his own set of powers, and then he's gonna cause problems. The Rockford Island new characters we have Thomas, Blake, Damien, and Shane. I don't like any of them. I think they're just bland. Damien, not to mention out of the 4 of them, only Damien survives. And even then, it's more of a fact that they're overshadowed by the rest of the new characters. They're overshadowed by Alex. They're even overshadowed, believe it or not, by Alexia, because Alexia, he does something with Alexia that I really like. Long. He seems like a very stereotypical villain. I can't really complain about him because he dies. Sure, he fights Alex at the end, but he gets one-shotted by Alexia. Stabbed to the chest, beheaded. And finally, Alexia. I can't really say anything about Alfred because he behaves just like he did in the game. Alexia, she kind of gets I like what the author did with Alexia of having her still kind of be the psychopath, but wanting a sense of justice. She's kind of a really, I guess you could say, skewered priorities, because she still wants to kill everyone, but she wants to kill him for revenge out of Alfred dying, not so much of they want, like in the game, where she's only going after them because she thinks they're after the T. Veronica virus. I believe so. I like the fact that she wants to redeem herself, but she's still not gonna change. She's still gonna be like the very dorky person. And not to mention, it's 15 years. I mean, her person we're out of she's basically pretty much a blank slate because until she comes back to life, we pretty much just got okay. She was a little kid, and she made the T Veronica virus, took herself in stasis for 15 years, and then came out an adult. Okay, so you're gonna get some kind of childlike prodigy qualities. And I like how the author transferred that into wanting to kind of get a schoolgirl crush. Think I still think it's kind of bit. I was kind of done the wrong way, but I still think it was good enough that I really want to see more of Alexia, especially since Alexia herself is an underappreciated character in the Resident Evil fandom as a whole. I honestly really loved Alexia Ashford. I really loved the Ashford twins because I think they were great villains. They were great characters, and it's just a shame that we don't I don't actually see a lot of them in fanfiction. I think the only other Alexia fanfiction is that file series that those file sets of stories written by I don't know who. I don't know. I don't care to and that's however that's still it's kind of a mixed bag. I sort of half the new characters I liked, half of them I didn't like. Grammar, I didn't see anything wrong grammar wise. Pacing and imagery, and how the story is structured. I didn't. I love the pacing. I think the pacing was just fine with the Rockford Island because it's just he's not doing a regular custom story. He's just basically just copying the plot and where they go in Code Veronica. I love the original story. I love what he did in the Antarctic facility and deviating it from it because they're not going to activate. They're not going to kill Alexia, so that's like the final boss gone. So okay, how would he do that? Okay, have Alexia turn. So it sounded good. I really loved that. The imagery was nice. I want to bring this up before I continue to the last part. We finally get some descriptions on the newer characters. So it's yay! We're finally getting what the characters actually look like, and then you get to the older characters, and they still he doesn't describe them. What? Just what? What? So we got the newer characters who I'm actually able to easily picture, but the older characters, they're just there. Still not described, still nothing. So it's like, okay, can we? Excuse me. Can we at least find out what Alex looks like? Nope. No, we're just getting the same thing over and over. No, can we get any of the characters what they look like? No, come on. Just come on. 4 stories and you're half right. You didn't describe any of the characters. Any of the older characters at least. What and not to mention in the pacing, there's a lot of small details too. Like I really, really loved how he took his time going into the mind of Alex. Despite the fact Alex is not really the main character, it's really in a weird sort of way. This is kind of half Jason's story, half Alex's story. I mean, despite the fact Alex doesn't really do much to contribute into the Antarctic facility with Alexia, but I really love that. Not to mention, there's also a lot of even smaller details. I really love the detail of Alex being hunted by the specter of Nemesis. I thought that was a really nice touch. It gives us a branching off point if he wants to do like a spin-off side story of him having to deal with Nemesis, because at this point in time in the timeline, he's either going to be doing the 2 lesser known stories in Dead Aim and Survivor, or he's either gonna do the Operation Javier for Darks. Although based on what he did, how it's done, I don't see him doing Operation Javier unless Alexia is somewhere helping Javier along the way. That's the only way I can see him doing the Dark Side Chronicles story. Uh, or most likely he's going to do Resident Evil 4, which is a 6-year gap, and that gives us the big question: Is he? This is directed to just Liberius, to the author. Is he, with all the characters, with all the moving pieces, especially now there's this 6-year gap because Resident Evil 4 takes place in 2004. Is Liberius enough by himself enough to continue the series? Because I honestly think, with how the direction is going right now, he needs help from other authors to expand the universe. Because certain characters are going to get shoved to the back and front and back and front, and we're not going to get enough of the characters. Like Danny and Brian, okay, they're going to make big deals, but the problem is their characters are not good enough to really want to warrant the 6-year gap. So I think with this 6-year gap, I think the author should do is ask some of the other authors, especially the ones that gave them the original characters. Hey, you think you can help expand the universe? Like, give us some like little stories to expand the characters some more. Either that, or he just goes and does Resident Evil 0, redo Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, and stick Danny and Brian in Resident Evil 0. Just give it to them. Don't add any other characters. Give it to Danny and Brian because they excuse me, they seriously need character development out of the rest of the group. And two, also gives us a more believable point of how they want to go into Arclight Mountains, in the redone version of Resident and Enduring Evil 1. Instead of just, let's just go camping in the illegal forests. But what about our friends? What's wrong with our friends? They're missing. Wait, what? We must save them. Oh. And I really wish he'd done that. But I also think the author needs help to expand the universe. Like, come up. Hell, I would love to see just a small, like a couple 1,000-word story of just Alex and Alexia going on a date, because I think it'd be cute. It'd be adorable. But what I recommend is my favorite part. I know this isn't my favorite part, but I have to mention I love the Scott cameo at the end because it's motherfucking Scott. But my favorite part, before I do that, it almost skipped my mind. The problem I had with the story. The only problem I had with the story is after Alfred dies, Alexia, attacks him and then kidnaps Alex and kind of changes him to her bed. But based on the story, but based on what I read, there is no incentive for why Alexia would want to take Alex. I mean, they all attacked Alfred. I mean, I could see that. I can more picture Alex trying to convince Alexia by telling her, said, we were just trying to get off the island. Alfred thought we bombed the island, but we didn't. And used the fact that, it was actually Wesker to do that. But there's no reason to have Alexia kidnap Alex specifically. What I would do is just give Alex a reason give Alexia a reason why she want to kidnap Alex. Simply like when Alfred shot and he lands on the car, have Alex kind of be a good Samaritan, try and try and help him, or at least try and grab him, so they can like patch his room to question him, and then the thing collapses and Alfred dies anyway. So that way, at least Alexia has a reason to grab Alex. It's like, out of all of them, you tried to save my brother. Second off, I don't love how the relationship started. I like the idea of the relationship in the first place. Don't get me wrong, I do like it. But the beginning of the relationship, like, okay, it's Alex changed up to a bed. Alex is just rubbing his head, combing his hair, and then they fall, kind of get a crush on each other. That reeks of Stockholm. I mean, I'm okay with them having a relationship, but it's good idea, poor execution. I think don't even, like, in this story, don't have them even want to get into a relationship. Have them start off as, Alex seeing someone is hurt, and tries to get her to sympathize with them, then have the relationship kind of grow from after, Alexia is given the custody. Which is why, again, this needs like an extended universe, like Shadow Chasers, the Shadow Chasers verse, or the Lunaverse. Um, but yeah, but outside of that, I can't really complain. I can't say anything's bad. It's just fixed how the relationship is done, or at least slow. Don't do the relationship in this story, but kind of give them the hint that, oh, they like each other some way. Other than that, there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong. There is nothing involving the characters. Again, just because I don't like the characters doesn't mean they're bad characters. I just don't like the characters. Um, Favorite part? I actually really, really liked Nathan's speech. I thought it was a good speech. I thought he was just gonna be a dumb muscle, like, okay, just a quiet guy who likes punk. But that speech, it kind of gives me hope that Nathan kind of usurps Wesker as this series' main villain, either Nathan or Jamie. I really, really like that speech with him. He's noble at heart. He wants to do things for these reasons. It's just everyone kind of disagrees with him, not so much the reasons, but because of the actions he's doing it and who specifically he's siding with. I really love that because it just made an uninteresting character into probably the most in my opinion, the most enigmatic character in the entire series. Because sure, we have a lot of characters who I like Rob, Alex, Scott. A lot of characters that I don't like. I don't like Scott. I don't like Lucas. I'm not a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of Kyle. Mark and Stewart. They're bland as dry. They're even blander than Danny and Brian. And then in the middle of them, we have Nathan, who we have all these unanswered questions, all these quirks of whose side is he going to eventually be on, and it makes an interesting plot point because while he siding with Wesker, he's not specifically evil. I mean, they even said that. With Matt in the story killing a character named Misty, and then even Nathan being pissed off at this, thinking that's too far. I mean, he's not above senseless fighting, and he has something of the honor code. I really loved that abrupt shift in character that Nathan needed, and it delivered in spades and makes me want to see more of him specifically over Jamie. I actually prefer Nathan over Jamie as the villain of Alex and their group's little thing. But specifically, that speech kind of made him worth wanting me to see more. Well, at the end of it, or during the Evil 3, it's like he's just a big tough guy. You want to punch? You want to fight? But I really loved. I'm talking in circles. I just realized it. Would I recommend this? I actually would recommend it. I would skip personally. I would, if you played Dark Code Veronica, I would skip the Rockford air parts. That's just me. The Rockford parts just weren't interesting to me. Doesn't mean they were bad. It's just it was like overshadowed by like the SAS stuff with Jason and Al and all that. It was just not as good as the rest. And that's my review. So tell me what you think of the story in the comments, and I'll see you next time. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and